Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. We are once again in Stormworks. We are back working on the PvP ship. And if you guys are new to this series, well, this will probably be the last video on the series because it's a short series. But essentially, we're building this boat for a PvP event in Stormworks. So it's just going to be two of these boats against each other, and that we are going to be hosting on our Discord. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, check out the link in the description down below. There should be a link to the Discord. There will be more details in the in the Discord about the event. Also, that will be where we will be doing the event. For those of you wondering timeline-wise, we're going to try to do a couple different sessions, but the first one we're going to do next weekend, likely Saturday. We'll do one or two different time zones, and that way you guys can hopefully try to join in on us. But anyways, enough of that. I am just trying to button up the interior of the ship a little bit now. And I want to make it very clear, I'm not doing a full interior on this ship. I'm purposefully trying to kind of not make this ship super detailed. I want it to be very lag-free, very simple, very basic. That's kind of the goal. And for that reason, I also want it to be a pretty quick build. So we're not going to do a full interior. I am going to tidy this up for just our own sake. And I am going to come back through here and go over these with another block just for one, armor reasons, which I don't know if it really makes a difference, but what it does do is it actually helps the game render all of these blocks if you ever click the F2 menu. This, for some reason, will make them a lot less, it'll make the physics bodies a lot less tiny, so you'll get a lot larger connected sections doing this. I don't know why, but doing that is just kind of a game optimization thing. It sounds weird, but if you do that, the game will run better. It won't necessarily make the ship better. But anyways, I'm just kind of going on about random stuff. Little fun fact for you guys. If you are curious about what I'm saying, just spawn in the ship or a ship or some random shapes. Click F2. It'll show the physics bodies, how it renders it, and then go back in and double up the blocks and whatnot, and it'll actually make a lot less bodies, which is kind of strange. But anyways, I'm going to stop ranting on that. We got a stairwell going downstairs. Downstairs, we're not going to do too much down here. I'm just going to put mostly like a ammo storage, and then there will be a gap to get into the engine room. Now we're gonna get the engine in this episode, and then I'll do a lot of detailing off camera. We are gonna play with modular engines. This is going to be an inline 5-cylinder. I believe in this video it's gonna be a 4-cylinder, but I do add an extra cylinder just because heating, and sounds counterintuitive, but if you make the engine larger, have more cylinders in Stormworks, you generally will have a better time cooling it, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it does and it doesn't, but also for our purposes, I wasn't really trying to get more power out of the engine. I just wanted it to not overheat as fast. So adding an extra cylinder, you're pushing the engine less, which is thus going to create less heat in the cylinders, but then you also have more cylinders to cool down, more overall volume to cool down. So it kind of goes both ways, but in this game, most of the time, if you add a cylinder, you will have less cooling problems. So that is another little fun building tip for you if you didn't know. So I didn't really want to mess around with it. Now I will say the ship will still overheat, and I'm okay with that. So you guys might not be okay with that, but I'm okay with that. It's simple. It's supposed to be a fun, kind of crappy battleship for us to use in multiplayer. Like, it's supposed to not be a very, very state-of-the-art good ship. So I want you to have these kind of silly issues like that, and you got to think about that. So if you do overheat your engine in the middle of a battle, well, that's going to be a really, really big problem. So, but anyways, enough of that. I'm not going to really talk too much about hooking the engine up and whatnot. This engine is not a good example of what you should be doing in this game. It's just kind of, I guess we'll call it the quick and dirty way. I just want to, again, I'm not trying to spend a long time on this build. It was more for fun, and it's more so we have something to use to play together with. So that's kind of the point. But anyways, you're going to have to do the basics. We'll get the clutch in. I'm going to slip it. Same old thing that I normally do on a lot of my marine engines. I'm going to add an astronomical amount of fuel for no reason, but this thing's going to sit really, really deep in the water. And then we're not going to get too much into fine-tuning the details and weapons in this video, but I will, in the end of the video, I promise you guys, I will show you kind of the game setup and the finished boats and whatnot. So if you do want to see that, stick around towards the end. I'll have some live footage of me kind of checking out the finished boat so you guys can see everything. And that way, when the event starts, hopefully it's not just like a surprise. But if it is, it's such a simple ship that it shouldn't be an issue. So, but yeah, we'll have that at the end. And I also do have a little bit of a surprise for you guys too. But we're not going to get into that too much in this episode either. That'll be really just for the event, something else that I built for it. So, anyways, I'm going to quit rambling. We're going to get into the time lapse a little bit, guys. We've got a lot of work to do, and I want to get this ship started to look a little bit more completed and less just like a white box with nothing really going on. So we will be back in just a few minutes. All right, well, I'm not going to bore you guys with building a engine. You guys have all seen that many, many, many times. So you guys did see where I hooked up the air and the exhaust, but it should all be running now, so we should be good to go. The engine's not super optimized, and the starter is still struggling, which, to be fair, the starter will struggle when the ship is completely done, so don't hold that against me. But the engine does run, as you can see. We can dump the clutch. It doesn't stall out or anything, so that is good. And yeah, it's coming along. So it runs now. It runs and drives, which is a pretty important thing for a boat to do, especially when you're getting shot at. So let's get the rudders in place, and I'm just gonna go really, really simple with these rudders, guys. There's not gonna be, again, very, very simple. We are going to have two of them just for redundancy, and this will make the turning a little bit better. That being said, it does turn kind of slowly, won't lie, but that's all right. There is going to be a reverse gear and all that, and we're going to be in the ocean. We're going to be basically. I'll show you in the end. I told you guys I would show you in the end, but essentially, a boat on each side of an island with basically the island being in the middle of them. So you have to go around the island, but other than that, you're in the open ocean, so it's not going to be like super, super tight maneuvering, and these things have battle cannons, so you're not going to, the range can get pretty close. At least when we played with it, it would get pretty close, but only if you really wanted it to. So that's kind of not really too much of a concern for me. I will say I'm definitely going to add equipment so you guys can kind of do boarding if you'd like. So if you want to board the enemy's team and go about beating them that way, that's not against the rules by any means. So you're more than welcome to do that. There will be armor and guns and all sorts of equipment and that kind of thing, or those kind of things on board. So we will have that. And here I am just going to be doing a little bit of tuning to my clutch. I've got it going to 0.65 right now. If you didn't know, these clutches, they do not work in a linear fashion. So first thing I usually suggest to people who want to get more power out of their modular engines, use one of the old clutches, clamp it to about 0.7. You might have to go a few up or down from there. In my case, I'm doing 0.65 because we're a little bit low on the power side of things, but essentially it will deliver the power into the drivetrain and keep the engine running. I essentially say you're gonna slip the clutch, but since the clutches don't work in a linear fashion, it's an exponential curve. Once you get really, really high up into those numbers, all you're doing is basically removing power from the engine and not adding any torque into the driveline. So it's generally better to slip the clutch. Now you're going to have to run the engine at a basically higher RPS in order to do this. But if we're being honest, boats are designed to more or less do this. They don't necessarily slip the clutch, but a boat is designed to run at its red line all day. So the entire concept of that really would be you run it at a lower RPS. So we're going to run this engine at redline to go full speed most of the time, but it's only going to go about 10 RPS. So you're going to slip the clutch, which means you're not going to get that full 10 RPS through on the other side of the drive line. So you also need to gear it up a lot. I know I'm kind of going a little bit more in depth with this than I should, but that's essentially a little quick guide on how you should do your boat drive lines, in my opinion. Slip your clutch, gear it up, and then you're going to end up setting a lot more RPS into the propeller than the engine's running. This is how I generally can make my boats a lot faster and then also run at pretty low RPSs. So that's my general tip and trick, I guess. Anyways, enough of that. Turn the waves up. Let's see how this thing handles in the waves, in the weather. And honestly, it's doing a lot better than I thought it would. And this doesn't have a keel or anything like that, guys, either. So it's just heavy. I'll be honest, it just weighs a lot. And as you guys could see, it sits pretty deep in the water. But yeah, handling the waves just fine. And I think that is more or less good enough for the engine and driveline and controls of the boat, at least for now. Anyways, that's enough building for now, in my opinion. So yeah, guys, this is the finished boat as it stands. So I'm just going to kind of get this thing running and driving, and we'll walk around it. I know the paint is a little different. The cool thing about this, and you'll notice it only has one accent color everywhere, but the accent color can be swapped. So when I do get this on the workshop, if you guys want to change it to whatever color team you want to be on, it takes one tool with the paint swap thing or tool or whatever you want to call it, and you can change all of that. The other pretty cool thing about that is there's no paint blocks, so it is literally only that one color, and it'll change all the lights and all the equipment and all of that for you. But anyways, I've got these cannons up front. We I don't know how in depth we talked about these in the videos, but they are pretty simple. You do have to feed them yourself. They do have that little auto feeder, and then they have this right here, so you can sort of reload them a little bit easier. It's not an auto loader, but it's I guess a magazine for you. I got 2 waist guns in here, and I actually really like those in the PvP mode. They start fires, really, really good to distract the enemy team. And then in here we've just got a bunch of equipment, some manual bilge. That is the only bilge, by the way, so if you were sinking, manual bilge is the only one. Just keep that in mind. Got a ton of equipment down here. Not going to get too in depth with that, and then we'll go into the finished engine room. So as you guys could see, I did add another cylinder, and then I just copy pasted some cooling loops. Nothing too complicated going on down here. It's only down there just so you can kind of access it to repair it. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire interior of the ship, guys. So pretty small ship. It's small on purpose. On the back we have the same exact gun as we have on the front, and then We also have a gun on the roof that we'll check out in just a moment, but I do want to get this thing turned and headed into a different direction real quick. We'll go check out the other enemy's boat. And the keen-eyed of you will notice something in the background there, and that is the surprise. Now, I'm not going to really talk about that too much, but that will be part of the event, at least part of the rounds, or some of the rounds. So we'll do multiple rounds of this. Now, what is fun is this ship, it is pretty hard to sink, so the fights do go a little bit longer than you'd think. I know generally it's usually like a three-minute thing, and then someone's at the bottom of the ocean. I mean, we've had issues with this ship running out of ammo multiple times, so that's kind of a test for how strong it is. But yeah, we're gonna come over here, and we're just gonna drive past that mysterious object and go over towards the enemy boat right there. And this is exactly how basically the scenario is going to spawn. So we'll have two teams split onto each boat, and then you guys have to pick left or right around the island, and it's just time to hunt. And we'll probably mess around with like different weather and time and all of that, but for the most part it's just going to be ship versus ship. And I do have infinite ammo on, so I'm not auto loading this, but I'm gonna just shoot at this green ship a bunch real quick before we end the video, and then we'll kind of do a damage assessment of the green ship, and we'll see. I just kind of want to show you guys how beefy these boats are. So we'll just keep firing this battle cannon. I think we are on a crash course towards the ship right now, which is great, and I already lost track of how many rounds that is, but I think it's 4 or 5. And yeah, 4 or 5, 6, probably by the time we get there, 8 battle cannon rounds to the deck. And yeah, it's a pretty durable ship, and we'll hopefully hop onto that other one and check it out. Just disable that turret real quick and hit it with the ram. Hopefully it doesn't flip over. Hopefully we don't flip over. And let me hop across real quick. But yeah, you can see we absolutely hammered this thing with battle cannon rounds, and well, we're gonna see if there's any water in it, but I don't think it's sinking. So yeah, it doesn't look like there's any water down in the engine room. So yeah, there you go. So we just absolutely blasted this thing, and it's not taking on water yet. So they are pretty durable, which makes this a lot more fun to do than you'd think, just because you really, really, really have to do a lot of damage to the other ship to sink it. And real quick, before we go, let's just see if this still runs too. I'm just curious. I want to see. But yeah, guys, if you guys are interested, check out the link below to the Discord. Like I said, we plan on doing it next weekend, which will be, hold on, let me pull up a calendar. Hold on. The 23rd of November. I know, probably inconvenient for quite a few of you. So we are going to try to do multiple weekends, multiple times, that kind of thing. So we're going to try to accommodate it, but I would love to absolutely pack a server and just get like 10 people on each one of these boats. So if you guys are interested, check out the link down below, and we'll have information. And if you'd like information or don't know where to get it, just ping one of the mods. Don't ping me, please, but ping one of the mods. And if I see your question, I will also be happy to help. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys in this one. So if you made it to the end, thank you so much. I appreciate it as always, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.